in belief. What I believe in is investigation, but I don't believe in investigation. I know investigation. That there's a difference between an education and a stupidity called belief. The religions are all founded upon a pack of lies that people have to believe in, and they don't get a lot of value out of it. In fact, the entire society is built up of a pack of lies. And so the only thing that's really worth knowing and to stop believing in is that you can change. That you're like a pig in a giant, muddy, filthy, wet, full of garbage pig pen. It's called human society. And you can either learn to get along in that giant pig pen, or you can get out of it. And most of the students are not ready to get out of it. They're still wanting to figure out how to live in that pig pen.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to do.
Okay. Well, starting to see moment by moment that, in fact, when you begin to learn that you can make a choice every moment that you remember that you can make a choice. Isn't that amazing? You have a choice if you remember that you've got a choice. Every time you remember you have a choice, you have a choice. Every time that you don't remember that you have a choice, then you're just doing the same old thing that you've been doing, that you've developed those as choices when you were a little kid, and you're continuing to do those. That's what everybody does. We make our choices as children when we're really young, really stupid, really ignorant, but we make those life choices, and then we continue down those pathways.
When it comes to you have a choice, which are you talking about just in general when choosing between different things, or?
All right. The example that I'm looking at right now, that you don't have a choice about your hand because you're not aware of it. Now that I've mentioned it, you had a choice and you took the choice. And all of that happened just right then.
That did happen.
Yeah, it happened right then. When I mentioned hand, that's all I said. And that you decided to make a choice about it. You woke up, you took a look, and you made a change.
It's it's so difficult because
It's not
there's so many
difficult. All you
moments.
have to do is remember. Once you remember, then it's easy enough to make the choice, to take a look and to make a choice.
When you yeah, I've been, so when it comes to remembering that, when it comes to the looking part, I've been curious, is it looking internally at what's happening with the body, or looking around us at the things around us, or just noticing what's not there? Like, to look can be broad. So
It really, really is broad, which means that it's a skill to be developed. Take a look at what is going on right now, because a whole lot of stuff is going on right now. And most people are not even paying attention to even a little bit of what's going on right now. They're paying attention to what they're thinking about.
yeah.
And they're not even paying very much well attention to what they're thinking about, because if they really saw what they were thinking about, then they'd make a change. Like, I don't like this.
Remembering to wake up and look is actually, how do I put this? the more you develop that skill, the more you can look at, right?
Well, yes, that's partially true. There's another part of it also, and that is that most people, when they do look, they do a lot of processing and a lot of figuring out and a lot of cogitation, which is not looking. And then they'll come up with a conclusion that's probably not appropriate because they weren't looking, they were too busy trying to figure things out. And so the figuring out process is based on confusion. It's full of doubt. That's why we've got to figure things out, is because if we don't know, it might be dangerous. But in fact, there are three kinds of feelings the Buddha talks about. The three kinds of feelings are I like it, I don't like it, and I'm not sure. And the not sure is the one that's the most dangerous.
Oh,
Okay. Now,
yeah.
I'm not sure means that we're confused. And so we get stuck to where generally if we like something, we immediately go from I like it into I want it. And from I want it, we go into I gotta have it. And that's when things get really bad that way. In other words, we'll do anything to get what we want. We'll do anything to get what we want. Isn't that amazing? People rob banks, people run for office, people harm people. Look how many guns there are in the United States. Why is that? It's because people are afraid. They're afraid of not getting what they want. They're afraid of losing the stuff that they've got, and they're going to lose it to somebody they don't even know. Or so the story goes. So we have three kinds of feelings. When we like things, we want to keep it. We want to have it around it. We have a pleasant feeling. Seeing something that is pleasant, and we think, oh, the pleasantness that I feel for this object is built into the object. The pleasure belongs to the item, whether it's a house or a car or a computer or a laptop or a girl or a bicycle or a motorbike or anything that you name that we like, we think that the pleasure, the liking it, is built into the item itself. Like I like that motorbike, therefore it's the motorbike that is likable. And so if I like it, then I'll say, oh, well, I'll be better off if I have it. And so we want it. We want to keep that pleasure that we got momentarily when we first saw it. Or we like the pleasant words that people say, and we attach to them thinking that, oh, this is much better than doing without it. Therefore, I'm not good enough because I don't have what I want. And if I did have what I want, then I would have its pleasure, the pleasure that comes with having the item. The pride of ownership, they call it sometimes. And what that does then is it puts us into a state of deprivation, actually. If I didn't see it, then I didn't want it, I'm okay. Now that I've seen it, now I want it, now I really want it. And so I'm in a state of deprivation, I'm in a state of wanting it. And all of this is happening in the mind ignorantly. We don't even know that this process happens. The same thing happens with the other two. When we see something or we have to put up with something that we don't like, we think that the inherent badness or the not liking it is built into the item. That it's a bad item. And I'll be better off if I got rid of it. So now I'm again in a state of deprivation, having to put up with something that I don't like. And the ignorance is that the liking and the not liking is built into the item itself, as opposed to they're just feelings within. And the third kind of feeling is the feeling that is either mixed in the sense of I like it and I don't like it, a cloud with a silver lining. Maybe it's a confusion um, about the ways that somebody is dressed, for instance, that we make big decisions based upon the way that people are dressed. You probably can see that if you've seen any movies or videos that were done in the 1970s with bell-bottom trousers and great big hairdos and flashy clothes, and you can see immediately that that's period. And people don't wear those clothes now. They don't like them. But back in the 70s, everybody liked those kind of clothes. It's called fashion. So if we recognize then that all of that stuff has to do with our own feelings, liking, not liking, and being confused about whether we like it or not, we've got a choice. If we know that we have a choice about our feelings, we have a choice about how we're going to feel. But normally we don't take our choice. Normally we feel the way that we used to feel, that we're in the habit of feeling in a certain way. So if, let us say, a servant who is a high quality, first class servant, and he does his job well, then he would be, say, the servant to a king. Okay? One of the qualities that the servant has is that he joyfully does what he's asked and told to do. And a bad servant is someone who resents doing what they're told to do. They don't like it. Kids generally don't like to be told what to do, but they go and do it anyway. And then they get into that habit of doing what they're told to do and not like it. We picked that habit up in the first grade. Do your homework. Do your 1, 2, 3s. Do your ABCs. And almost all the kids don't like it, but they do it anyway. And then they get in the habit of it, of not liking it, pushing it off, not wanting to do it, then doing it anyway, possibly late after they're already in trouble. And then they don't like it when they do it because they got to do it. They do it. All right. So this is the standard operating procedure for all young people growing up, is having to do stuff that they don't want to do, but they do it because they have to or because they're supposed to. Going to university, being in the band, being part of a dance troupe, whatever the kid is doing, he has a choice about whether he's going to like to do it or not. And most of the kids wind up not liking it. So in the band of, let us say, 50 people in the marching band at high school, about 10 of them really like being there, and they are the band. And then the other 40, they don't like to do it, but they're wearing the uniforms and they go do what they were told to do. So this is the way that we have our lives set up.
Yeah.
And the next point is that the feelings that we have are almost always confusion feelings. We're not sure. We haven't figured it out, and we think that the right thing to do is to figure it out. And the easier thing to do is to just let it go and keep investigating. If we keep investigating, then we will see how things are without having to figure it out based upon the feeling of wanting to figure it out. Now, generally, the reason that people want to figure things out is because it might be dangerous. We have to find out, is it going to be safe or not? And almost everything is safe, and yet almost every time we still question it. Oh, I have to know what that is to figure out is it safe or not.
I'm gonna turn off the light, or turn on the light really quickly.
Go ahead.
Was just hitting the light. It's interesting, right? So, waking up to the fact that I have a choice about whether to enjoy something or not, and I previously just would do it because I'm told to, or because people are like, "Oh, it's good for you to do this. You should do it," and then I feel bad about doing it because that's like the conditioned sort of response. So,
including having the job. You have the job because you're supposed to have the job. You do the job and you don't like it.
I've been trying to go in with a better attitude, but I think
Well, you
I don't know
have
how
to
to.
remember. That's the whole point of the sati, is to remember that you've got a choice about your attitude. And the more you practice, the more often you'll wake up. That we also use sati as a training tool. Watching the breathing requires sati. Mindfulness, or watching when it's a long, deep breath, and mindfully watching, noticing with sati that it's a long, deep out breath. That's 2 points of sati right there. And so when we start practicing that way, we begin to practice waking up.
Wait, can you
We
say that?
practice.
Can you say that one more time about 2 points of
Okay,
sati?
right. Mindfulness is the English language word that is used for sati. Mindfulness has got its own connotations. And that a better way of talking about sati would be to say to wake up, to see what's going on. An example is that you're sitting reading a book and someone hands you a cup of coffee. They hand it to you with the handle open for you to get it. You have to wake up to the fact that somebody's just handed you a cup of coffee so that you can grasp it. You have to take your eyes out of the book at least a little bit to be able to see the cup and then grasp it. And if mom's bringing you the cup and she puts it right in front of you and you still won't look at it because you're looking at the book, she'll nudge you or she'll interrupt you or something to get your attention to wake up to the fact that there's a coffee cup there. So this is what wake up means. It means to come into the reality of the moment. The book is not real. The book is what the mind is focused on, and the reality is that you're in a room, you've got mom there, she's handing you a cup of coffee, there's windows, there's all kinds of stuff to look at. But when we get our head stuck in a book, or just stuck in thinking, then we're not aware. Okay, so this idea, mom's not going to follow you around sticking a coffee cup in your face 100 times a day. But we can wake up 100 times a day if we remember to start practicing waking up. There's many, many things that we can use. In fact, the typical word that is used is an anchor. Another word that could be used would be a bullet, or a trigger, or a wake-up call, an anchor. Okay, these are the things, these triggers set us off or wake us up.
We want to
You
wake
can
up and get out of. I
well,
guess
wake
I,
up and take a
I
look. Wake up and see what's going on. And you might figure out that you need to get out of the feelings that you're in and get yourself into better feelings. But with the practice is that threefold thing of waking up, taking a look, and making a change. And that waking up process is really the important thing that starts things off. But more importantly, even than that, is right view, because the right view or the right looking is to know, oh, I've got to look at what's going on so I can make choices. And so then we set that in motion to where I'm going to remember, I'm going to remember, I'm going to look, I'm going to wake up and see. And we make that kind of our life's goal for right now. Not like 15 years from now to wake up then, but right now to remember to wake up, to take a look at what's going on. Why? Because otherwise you're probably going to be in habitual old bad feelings that we're not aware of.
I think that
And so, go ahead.
I think I started losing it when wait, how do I say this? Yeah, yeah, waking up, taking a look. It's great and all, but I think the hard part or the thing that's struggling about work is the fact that I'm always doing all these different things and I have all these different things to pay attention to and do. So when I do wake up and look, I can't really get into a state of like relaxation as I could when I'm at home because I do spend 8 hours a day at work, which is why I'm curious about. I don't want to just suffer that whole time and then go home and be like, ah, but now I can relax because I'd like to figure out how to be there
Okay.
at work
Well,
too.
the
Get that.
relaxation comes with the skill. The example would be a piece of music that the musician has to play. When he first starts practicing it, it's actually a lot of work in the sense that he's got to pay close attention. He's got to look at the sheet music and look at the fingering and do all of that kind of stuff. But then later, he's actually going to play that piece in public. Let us say it's a recital, because he's still a student. That recital is also really hard on the kid because the kid is hard on the kid about the recital. He's got to do it right. And so he's paying close attention to what he's doing when he's playing that piece of music, right? It's work for him. I have seen musicians sweat when they're playing because they're working so hard at it, right? But if that same musician plays that same piece of music 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 times over the course of the next year, he can sit down and play that piece of music without even thinking that, in fact, the fingers will remember the music. That I have seen musicians so relaxed that they're playing in public at a piano bar. We don't have piano bars much anymore, but back in the 50s and 60s, piano bars were quite common. And here's this guy been playing the same 15, 20, 30 pieces over and over and over again. And the luscious babe in her luscious babe uniform, a nightgown, walks up to the piano and leans over it and starts talking to him. And he doesn't miss a note, but he's still talking to her because he's playing the piano and he's playing it really, really relaxed. And then the next scene is that the cops that are looking for this broad come in and interrogate him while he's still playing the piano. And he can handle even a police investigation and not miss a note. Why? Because he's got that practice down. He's got it wired. And he can still have a police interrogation and not miss a note. Okay, so with that as the example, now we can see that that also happens in sports. That in fact, in the big, big games, the guy who makes the spectacular catches and things like that is often in a state of relaxation. If he was uptight about football the way he was when he was 10, he would not be able to do those spectacular things. So, with that, we can understand that it can be a training. You can actually train yourself in this job to start liking it by getting good at it. And by getting so good at it and liking it so well that it becomes easy peasy. It's an easy thing to do because you like it and you're good at it because you keep practicing doing it and practicing liking it.
I gotta start at square one though. I
Pardon?
have to. When it comes to here, um,
But you have to want to like it. And right now, you're not ready to want to like it yet. You'd rather not like it
mm,
because you're in the habit of not liking it. But you
do
do
want to like
recognize
it.
that you have a choice. So the next time that you are doing your job and not liking it, wake up and say, hey, I have a choice here. I can either do this thing skillfully liking it, or I can bumble my way through it hating it.
Hmm.
And that happens with everything we do. Everything that we do. We can either hate doing it and do it sloppily and badly, or we can enjoy doing it and do it well and enjoy our time while we're doing it. But we are almost already trained the way that we were trained in high school to do what you were told to do and to not like it. So you're going to spend the rest of your life finding this and that and the other thing to do over the years and not like everything that you do because that's the habit you're in.
I'm trying to break that habit.
Yeah. Well, where to break it? Right now when you wake up to it.
I just need to run by the steps again. That's the thing. I gotta keep.
Pardon?
I have to run by the steps again. I have to keep doing it. Gotta remember to wake up, really
Take a
look at what
look.
I'm thinking about, look at what's around me, and then just start appreciating the things that are in the present. Right?
Hmm.
Like. Hmm.
And that's making the change. Waking up and looking at what's going on and appreciating it. That's the change. Making that change to appreciate the things rather than staying asleep and staying bothered by it.
Hmm.
Now, I will take a moment to describe a Pali word for you. It
Okay.
might be helpful. I can see that your skin is fairly clear and that a lot of kids your age have a lot of pimples and blackheads and acne. You know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That it's a common topic. There's a lot of stuff on the market. All right. The Pali word is the word asava. And asava is used in connection with kilesa. And the word kilesa means being bound up or stuck, like in handcuffs, in leg irons. That's the word that the word kilesa means. It means in bondage. But the word asava actually is translated as canker. Bad translation. Nobody uses those words, cankers, anymore. But the word actually means these blemishes, blackheads, pimples, sore spots on the skin. And that for some people, their face is actually covered with those things. But most people have bad acne of the brain. Their mind is covered with pimples, blackheads, uh, pores that are expanded and open and full of dirt. And so the technique then is we would go to a dermatologist. And a dermatologist, I mean, they've gotten some fancy machines with waxing and all of that kind of stuff. But basically, one pimple at a time, one at a time. We find this pimple, oh, that's a big one. Let's pop it. This is a little one, but it's there right in front of us. This is its time right now, and pop it. Pull it out. And then we draw back a little bit and say, wait a minute, look at all of these pimples on the mind. Oh, how much work this is to do. And while we're having those kind of thoughts, we're not popping pimples, we're just feeling bad. we can come back and actually start pumping those pimples of the mind and enjoy them. Just like some people, in fact, I think that there's an entire industry now on YouTube to where there's a dozen or more dermatologist doctors that film everything that they do and put it up on the internet, and people by the millions will watch these videos of this white billowing stuff popping out, or maybe the black on the top and then a dark yellow and down at the white at the bottom or whatever like this, and maybe pulling the scabs off of the skin so that you can get down to these things. This is actually quite entertaining for many, many people to watch this popping out. So we can begin to get that attitude ourselves that we can actually enjoy popping our own mental pimples rather than hating them. We're taught to hate them. Because we hate them, we don't want to do with them. We don't want to deal with them. Because we don't want to do it and we don't want to deal with them, we leave those pimples there until we have a mind full of pimples.
Wow.
But all we need to do is to start being our own dermatologists on the mind, and every pimple that we can see, all we have to do is pop it. Gently pull it out with whatever techniques that we need to do, but that's all there is to it. But there is a lot of them, but we remove them one at a time as they occur. And now we can understand that that's why the Buddha uses that example. I mean, this is the Buddha's example, and we don't see it much. I don't even want to talk about it too often because it sounds gross. that that the hindrance or this unwholesome, unhappy thought is just like a pimple. And we can say, aha, I see you. Wow, what a great big brown thing you are on the top. Let's push you out and see what you look like.
So when you do that, how do you, I mean, I guess you use you're remembering to wake up and choose that you don't have to think about that. Like you use that skill to kind of see it and get the how
Right.
HE double cross hockey stick out of there.
Right. So that's now we're looking at the fact that we've got 4 items actually of the Eightfold Path that we're talking about. The one is to wake up, the sati, to look at what we're doing, and then to take the effort to remove it. But then the removal of it is entertaining, and we like it. We congratulate ourselves. Wow, look at that great big thing. There's a lot of jokes about it. In fact, there is a sequence in Family, the Family Guy, that's it, where Meg is sitting or standing at the mirror in her bedroom in one frame, popping the pimple, and in the next frame, she's laying on the floor with the photo that was on the wall on her, and the whole mirror on the other side of the room is just covered with white, like it was the biggest pimple that ever happened. You know, this is a big joke. And that you can see this happening when people will film that when they push on the pimple, it's almost like a water fountain. It shoots out.
I did not think you would ever talk about Family Guy in a video.
Well, this is the whole point is that we can learn to enjoy that which before we really, really hated. We do not want to see these hindrances of the mind. Now we can begin to treat them as something as an adventure.
So it's like when I wake up in the morning, early in the morning, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to get out of bed. I could just take that thought and be like, well, I don't know. I could see that and be like, well, I see that, and I don't really have to think about that. And now it's like I've, what is it? It's like I've taken it out, and then I could get rid of it. I don't have to think about that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Using my
Okay.
wakefulness, I guess.
Well, one of the things that I recommend to the students, you just mentioned the situation, And that is that of the 5 or 6 times a day that you're actually going to be practicing anapanasati, practicing the skill of mindfulness and to remember, the first time to do that is when we wake up right in the morning. And here you say, when you wake up in the morning, you have thoughts of being tired, thoughts of, oh, another day I don't want to live through, etc., like that. Okay, so this is the time for practice. And the way that we would practice would be, okay, for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to lay here in bed and enjoy the heck out of it. Let that old world out there be. I don't care about it right now. Right now, what I care about is feeling good. And I can take a deep breath and pull those covers up and says, right now, everything is really, really okay. And the day will take care of itself later. But right now, I'm really enjoying this moment.
Oh, yeah.
And so you start your day getting your mind in that state. Now, here's generally what happens is that people start off with those sad, bad feelings, tired feelings in the morning. But when they do get up and get dressed, they get their mojo back again. So that you can get on your bicycle and pedal to school or whatever. Even though you don't want to, you do have the energy to do it. So what we're going to be doing then with your practice of anapanasati is you're going to give yourself the permission to say, later, I'll have all the energy I need to do any and everything I want to do and a few things I don't want to do, but I'll do them anyway happily. And so we can actually talk ourselves into being in a really, really good state in the morning before you ever get out of bed, rather than getting out of bed in that state of, I don't want to get out of bed, but I'm going to do it anyway, into the state of, wow, I'm going to lay here in bed and I'm going to enjoy the heck out of it for 5 minutes.
If I'm practicing for 5 or 6 times per day, how long should I practice for? And
I just gave you 5 to 10 minutes
5 to 10 minutes.
to get yourself into a really good state.
Sure.
5, 6 times a day, over and over and over again, to sit down and relax, to sit down, take a load off.
Crap. That's the thing, though. I can't do that on the job. I have to do it when I get home.
Well, you can do it whenever you remember that you can do it. You can breathe and remember to do it right then and there. I mean, what is your choice? Is to hate it? Knowing that you hate it and you still hate it? No, you could say, hey, I can change my attitude right now. You could do it while you're picking up a box. Before you picked up this box, oh, this box is heavy. Oh, I don't want to pick it up. Oh, I'll hold it for a while and I'll feel miserable. Now you can say, hey, I can pick up that box. I've done it 1,000 times before. There's nothing to it. I can handle this.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. You can. You've picked up those boxes many times before. You can pick it on up again and you can pick it up happily. You don't have to pick it up miserably the way that you've been doing it. Now you can make a change.
Yeah. I've been thinking, like, before bed is a great time to practice. Probably when I wake up, too. I think those times I've been trying to make sure that I kind of, yeah, because when you're in bed trying to go to sleep, then sometimes you're like, oh, I want to go to bed. I want to be asleep already. But it's better to, like, try to relax and be like, well, I don't have to do anything.
Right, I like this. Go with whatever you're doing. Oh, I like this. So you're laying in bed at night, ready to go to sleep, instead of saying, oh, you've got to go to sleep. Oh, I don't want to go to sleep. Oh, I want to do this. You can say, oh, right now everything is so nice. No place to go and nothing to do for the 8 hours. Whether I sleep or not is irrelevant. And in fact, I'll probably have bad dreams if I go to sleep in a bad mental state. Let me get myself into a really good state. Just laying here and enjoying the night. Taking deep breaths. Wow, this feels so good. And then we can go drop off to sleep really easily because we got nothing much on the mind. People have trouble sleeping when they've got a lot to think about. They're still busy. So that's another time to practice. We've got 2 out of 6 already down. When you wake up in the morning, practice Anapanasati before you get out of bed.
I think
And
it'd
when
be
you go
good
to
to
bed,
practice it at break too.
when you're at break, whenever you are, take the time. Whenever you begin to play with your face, with your hand, remember, oh, I don't have to do that.
Oh yeah.
So you can begin to notice what your hands are doing.
Thank
But that's just part of the practice of learning where the body is also learning what you're doing with your hands, so that you can stop fidgeting so much and relax. Relax your hands. And so this is part of the practice, and it all has to do with remembering to look and to make a change. Whether it's with the body, the hands, the breathing, the feelings, the thoughts, whatever it is that we're doing, we've got a choice about it if we can look at it.
Oh
and
yeah,
see
this
it.
applies to everything. I mean, everything that you're doing, everything, your attitudes, emotions, movements, everything that you
Mm-hmm.
kind of control with your body and your mind fall under what you
And
can.
we've been doing all of that on automatic pilot, habits we picked up as children, and now you're going to start investigating those habits, recognizing you've got a choice here. Every moment's a new choice.
That's what you mean by investigation, isn't it? I've
Mm-hmm.
heard investigation, and I've always been like, but if I investigate my negative emotions, then it's like sometimes you fall into a negative state, which is why when you say investigate, you mean you wake up to it, you realize that you're having it, and then you realize
Mm-hmm.
that you have a choice about it, right?
Right, exactly. You recognize, you wake up to see that this actually is dukkha. This is unsatisfactory. Let's stop doing it. But most Westerners, when they hear the word investigation, that means, oh, I've got to go into that closet of ill will and bad feelings and really, really wallow in my own crap for a long time. That's why we wallow in our crap for a long time, is because we think that's the way to deal with it. And the right way to deal with it is, oh, I see you, and I don't want to have nothing to do with you. Out of here. That we see that it's unwholesome and throw it out immediately rather than investigate how unwholesome it is. That makes no sense.
Oh yeah. You've given me plenty to think about. I might even have to look back at this video because there's so much valuable stuff.
Yes. And all we've talked about is the same thing over and over again, to wake up and take a look and make a change to how you feel. Because you have complete control. Everybody has complete control over how they feel, but we never exercise it. We just let the old habit determine how we feel. We let those triggers, those anchors, determine how we feel. Now we're going to use those triggers and anchors to wake up, because we got choices.
All right.
Well, I think this. All right. Well, I think this is a good time to stop. I think that you've gotten this.
I'm gonna
So go put it into practice.
go make some
Watch the
choices.
video again. Make some choices. Exactly.
Thank you.
Yes, Avery. We'll see you later. This is good.
Have a good rest of the day.
Yes, I will. Thank you.